I have been making this particular sauce for years now and pretty much have settled on this one recipe for the last 3. It took me quite a few years to tweak and add and take away certain things to make it what it has become today. It's a very large recipe, so if you're looking to feed a group of people, or if you're looking for a recipe that will result in a lot of freezer meals, this is your recipe. We have a lot of fresh veggies in it, so it's also really good to do if some of your vegetables are starting to age out. Has beef, you can substitute it with turkey, and then a lot of herbs and different spices to season it. It's really delicious. I hope that you like it. I'm going to start off by showing you the basic ingredients and the tools that we'll need to make it, and then we'll start to simmer up our vegetables. For this recipe, you will need a large pot that has a bit of water on the bottom, 1 large garlic, 2 good-sized onions, a couple of red peppers, carrots, celery sticks. You need a couple tablespoons of basil. You will also need the tomatoes, diced paste, and sauce, a hand blender to help you out to get it a bit smoother of a consistency, some agave or sweetener, beef. I'm not really good at the pounds of beef. I just, take apart the big Costco packages. I'm gonna guess that's about 2 pounds of beef. Salt and pepper, chili flakes, Italian spice, and also some garlic spice. So the first thing we're gonna do is turn our pot on to a high medium and dice up our onions, peppers, celery, and carrots and get them going. So the onions are started, and now we're going to get onto the celery, dump them in the pot, and then get started on the carrots. I like to start with onions, then move on to the celery and carrots before I get onto the peppers, just because they're softer. Carrots are all finished. Time to move on to the peppers. Okay, so the vegetables are all in there sauteing up. Now it's time to peel our cloves of garlic and then press them in. All right, let's press in this garlic. I know it looks like a lot, because it is, but the recipe is big, and it's Italian sauce for spaghetti or pasta. You want a lot of garlic with it. All right, there's all our garlic. We're gonna give it a good stir. Once the garlic is stirred in well, we are just going to dump the beef in right on top. This is a 1-pot recipe, and as long as you cook your beef fully through, you're gonna be okay. All right, so the beef's in, and as it cooks, we will break it up into smaller pieces and blend it in with the veggies. So as that meat is cooking and the veggies are continuing to get soft, I am going to use my time wisely and take all the lids off all 6 of my cans. As well, I'm going to dice up the basil for later. So I use what will become about a couple tablespoons of basil, just diced up nicely. To cut it up, I just kind of gather it, kind of put it in the same direction. I'll probably do it in a couple groups here. And then I just kind of roll it. And then hopefully you can see I slice it in half. And then dice as finely as I can. I get rid of the stems. So put that aside. Again, I gather them Put the shapes together. Take any unwanted parts off. Ooh, it smells so good. It's powerful when it's fresh. All right, good enough. Roll it up. Slice in half. And then dice it up nice and thin. Make sure to get the stems. That's what it's starting to look like. The beef is almost finished. I can still see a little bit of pink, so I'm gonna hold off. Just wanted to give you a look what that looks like. So in a couple minutes, we are going to put in some salt and pepper. And see, I always eyeball this, so I'm going to guess about 2 tablespoons of Italian herbs, and we're going to mix it well into our beef and veggies. While the beef is finishing up cooking, I just wanted to remind you that you will want some form of hand blender just to blend it up a bit. So I don't recommend having it on the strongest speed. So I have a 1 and a 2 setting, and I'm gonna use mine on 1. I have over blended it before, and it becomes like a puree slop almost, and it wasn't pleasant. So it's not like a soup where if you over blend, it's okay. You just have like a thinner soup. The texture gets a little bit off. So I just wanted to just give you that tip. I also just blend it and I go down once and I come up. And then I go basically around the whole pot, up and down. I don't let it prolong and sit in there very long. I'm just trying to break up the beef a bit because it's chunky, and break up the vegetables because I don't like chunks of vegetables like in my sauce. So it's to do just a little blend, a gentle blend. And then you're still gonna have definition in your sauce between the liquid and the meat. I hope that makes sense. Another thing that you need as well, like I touched base with you before, is some agave. If you don't have agave, sugar or honey will work. It will give it a different taste, as all sweeteners do. I personally prefer agave and the taste of it, just to help break up the acidity of the tomatoes. I don't measure, I do eyeball, and I just do a really good squirt, and I will demonstrate when it's time for that. But have this on hand because you will need it. And then after we put in the tomatoes and all the spices and the agave, and we do our little gentle blend, you're gonna taste it and see, is it good to go, or do we need to add a little this or that to it? And that part is hard for recipes because everyone's taste buds are different. All vegetables, everything, you know, they're unique. I don't find that my sauces come out identical. I'm not McDonald's. I don't have this, you know, formula where I make it and I love it and I can do it again and it's exactly the same, because everything tastes different. We will go through that, but if you taste it and you think that it needs a little more salt, add it. Garlic powder, add it. Italian seasonings, add it. You need a little bit more sweetener, add it. Whatever you like at that point of the stage of cooking this, that's what you need to do. All right, the beef is fully cooked, and I'm going to be putting in some pepper and some salt, and also some Italian seasoning, and I just eyeball it. So I'm guessing it's about 2 tablespoons worth. I do put in quite a bit. I like a lot of flavor in my cooking. Quite a bit of pepper, a good amount of salt. Okay, so we're gonna give it a good stir to mix it all up before we add in our tomatoes. Near the end, when we taste it, we can add more of salt, pepper, seasonings to make it fit your taste buds desires. Okay, so now we're gonna add the tomatoes. We have, again, 2 cans of diced, 2 cans of sauce, tomato sauce. Make sure you don't get spaghetti sauce. Although, maybe it wouldn't be too bad, but this is just a sauce. And then 2 cans of paste. Okay, so you can see it's in and the pot is getting very full, so we need to very carefully stir this together. All right, time for the agave. Just gonna give it a good squirt in. 1, 2, and if I need more later, I'll add it in. Okay, something else I'm gonna add in now are some red pepper flakes. This adds a little bit of heat, and I like that. If you don't like heat, don't worry about it. I do not dump this one in because you can't have too much of a good thing. So I would say this is about half a teaspoon. Okay, so before it starts to simmer, we are going to blend it up very gently, very minimally. I like to do this before it starts to bubble, just because then it helps contain it and doesn't spit out and burn me. So I have it on, my lowest setting. Unlike the soup, it's as minimal as possible. Okay, so I went around once, and what I'll do, my tip is just stir it around, and if you see like a chunk of celery in particular, because celery isn't something you can really think about with spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce. So if I see it, I will blend it. This is what the sauce will look like. You see, you can see the different textures in it. We haven't pureed it into a slop yet. There's not big chunks of, again, the celery is the thing I look for. Like if there's a little pepper, that's fine. And the meat, I don't want it overly pureed. But the celery, that's my goal, to get that pureed up. Okay, it just started to bubble up and I gave it another little stir. I'm gonna take a very small spoon and taste it and just see what needs to be added. For me, it's pretty good, but I do want a little more heat. So I'm gonna add some more flakes in, probably the same amount as I did last time. And I'm going to add in a little bit of garlic salt. Garlic salt is great because you get the salt plus the garlic. Maybe a couple tablespoons worth. Give that a stir. All right, stirred that up, and now I'm going to add in my basil. This will add to the flavor and the freshness of the sauce. We're gonna let this simmer for a little bit longer and then give it another taste test. Okay, so I just gave it another taste test and I added in another tablespoon of garlic salt, Italian seasoning, and I also added some more salt and pepper, and it's good to go. I'm going to let it simmer for 10 more minutes and then cool it off and divide it between our meal that we're gonna have later tonight and then also the freezer meals. If you want to boil your favorite pasta now, it will be done simmering by the time your noodles are done. Okay, well that's it. I hope that you will enjoy this sauce as much as my family and I do.